Hi everybody, this is Dan. I'm coming at you from my little 3D printer office here. I've got a new filament that I'm going to try out. I'm looking for a distributor from China, trying to get some wholesale filament going. And I had never heard of this brand, but I was chatting with one of their representatives, asked them to send a couple samples. They sent over one PLA and one PETG. I think the black is the PETG. And they sent over a white PLA. So the branding is pretty interesting. 22 Network. I'd never heard of it. So I looked up some stuff online. I couldn't really find a whole bunch about them. So that's why I asked for the sample. Once you get it out of the box it comes in, there's no branding anywhere else. So this is the next piece of any information is right here. Nothing on there saying that it's from 22 Network. Once I get out of that cardboard box, I have the same label that was on the outside of the nondescript cardboard box, which doesn't really say much. It just gives you the basics of what temps to run it at, what color it is, etc. The spool's interesting. It's all injection mold. I'm not sure what size it is. I haven't put this on a Bamboo Labs in an AMS or on the AMS Lite, so I'm not sure how that's going to work out. That'll be one of the things we check here in a second. But I just thought I would show this packaging off before I tear it all open. The PLA is going to be similar, I'm guessing. So I'm going to open that one up real quick and we'll kind of check it out together. So I'm interested in seeing right off the bat. I'm going to use just the straight bamboo settings to print this for the PLA and the PETG, see what happens. And then we'll go from there. So again, pretty nondescript once you get outside of the 22 Network box. Same spool. So that's a plus. Looks like it's wound pretty decently, but that can change as soon as I open it up. Alright, so I'm going to pop these guys open and see about putting them on an AMS Lite real quick and see how they do. I think there might be a problem there. Alright, so I've got this first roll on the AMS Lite. It's kind of a loose fit, but it is a fit. It's not falling off. But luckily I run this little nut system here to help protect about that from happening. Yeah, looks like it'll be okay as far as the AMS Lite is concerned. The other system I run is the Infinity Flow. It shouldn't be a problem there, as it's pretty much a universal, holds up to a 3 kilogram spool. This is from Tangled. So back to the AMS Lite, I'm going to throw the PLA on here also, and I'm going to run 2 benchies, 1 PLA, 1 PETG, and I know I'm breaking rules. I'm not going to try to dry this or anything. I want to see how it runs right out of the package. I expect it to run not good, so I won't hold that against them if it does. And then I'll throw it in a poly dryer, dry it overnight, well, dry it for 6 hours, and print again so I have a before and after comparison. Alright, so I've got the PLA on, and you can see it's a little bit better angle. The sun's shining in this window, so as far as this just popping on and off, really loose compared to other filament rolls. But it's on there. I mean, it's not falling off by any means. It's making good contact. The rubber feet are way in the back here. It's making really good contact with that, so I'm not complaining. And these little nuts don't really contact the filament spool at all, so it's just to catch it if it does slide off. So I'm happy with how that's going to be there, be a little protection. I'm going to be running this on an A1. My A1 is set up for plate swapping. I'm not going to be using that function, I'm just going to run a couple quick test prints and see how we do. I'm going to run one PETG, one PLA, and then I might try to run a print with a PETG support just to see how that comes off. So at this point, I'm going to pause this video and I'm going to throw some prints on here, and I'll get back as soon as they're done. Alright, so to keep this super low tech, I'm just going to do a screenshot of my screen. So I'm running this little quilting shape instead of a benchy. It's going to be 16 minutes with this high flow PLA or high flow PETG from Bamboo Labs is the setting I'm using, just to see how this is going to do. If it doesn't do well, I will run a calibration test, check it out again, and then dry it, and so on and so forth. So we'll be back in a few minutes. So while the printer's warming up, I just figured I'd take a quick look at this label. It wants the temp to be between 215 and 230 for this PETG. The label doesn't give any sort of bed temperature setting requirement on here. On the Bamboo high flow, the high end or the low end is 230, which is the high end for this current filament I'm running, and the high end is 270. Let's see what I've got here. Bed temperature is going to be in the 70s, and the nozzle is going to stay at between 230 and 240 based on these numbers right here. So I'll be at the high end of this particular temperature range for this filament. So that's the quick comparison of what we're trying to do. See how it goes. Again, I'm not trying to judge this filament. I'm trying to just make some comparisons before I run calibrations on it and make a determination on how well it prints right out of the package. I know I should dry it and get it squared away, but I'm eager to do a little test. Here's the first layer. Hard to focus on. Layer 1's looking pretty good so far. Alright, here's layer 2 right here. I'm going to say layer 1's looking pretty good. I'm going to hit pause and come back in 16 minutes. Alright, so it's still running layer 2, but the next part of the test was this loose spool I was talking about. It did try to fall right off. So had this nut not been on here to catch that, it would have taken a tumble for sure. See, it's just super loose on there. So glad I took that extra little precaution to throw that on there. Alright, so I'm just jumping in here. It's a little bit more than halfway done. It's looking pretty good. It's printing the infill nicely. There's a couple little pill rolling happenings in the second layer that kind of clean themselves off, and it doesn't seem to be an issue. It's looking pretty smooth. Alright, so hot off the printer. This is the plate. That's the print. Trying to catch any defects here with the shadows and the light. It's looking pretty good for being right out of the box. So obviously textured PEI plate on the back. Looks good. Little defect right there in the middle. It looks like there's something there, but I can't. Right there at my tip of my thumb. Looks like a blemish, but I can't feel anything there. Couple little strings at the bottom that just rubbed right off. Not a lot of infill or anything in here, so it's not a strong model. The PLA is running right now. I'll see if it breaks it just as easy or not. A lot of separation in the layer lines there. The whole bottom of the PEI plate part just peeled right off. So that was the part that looked really good. It just had complete separation from the layer below it. And then this stuff just kind of blew apart. So not sure if that's normal or not. I'll check it with the PLA one, see if it breaks just as easy. That was just a squeeze, just like this, just straight in. Broke right where I was pushing. Plate's clean, PLA is running. So this is the PLA laying down. First layer, obviously. So, I don't know if I mentioned, this is just a straight Bamboo Labs profile 0.20. Didn't make any changes to any settings at all. Just put in the Bamboo Labs PLA basic, ran this, and then put in the PETG high flow and ran the PETG. I thought that PETG turned out really nice. It printed well. I'm going to run some calibration tests on it a little bit later today and get it in the dryer. Here goes layer 2. So this print start to finish, once the pre-printing is done, from the first layer to the last layer is 9 minutes and 46 seconds. Alright, so I've got that PETG in a poly dryer. It's going to run for 6 hours, and then I'm going to run it straight from the poly dryer and do some calibrations, and then I'll run a couple more tests. One of the problems I've had with some PETG in the past is it does well on small flat models, but once I start doing taller stuff, it really falls apart as I start getting into the other layers that didn't necessarily get dried very well. So I'm going to see how this performs coming out of the poly dryer directly. So far the PLA is looking great. And because this one is on the downward slant side, I don't have to worry about it trying to fall off. It's not so loose that the AMS has a hard time winding it or unwinding it. So on the PETG, even though it was hanging on the front, once I pushed it back, it never fell forward again, and the AMS was able to unroll it to disengage the filament very easily. So that was not a problem at all. Alright, we're in the home stretch. Printing that last layer. There it is. So this did just unwind, and instead of the spool rolling, there we go, it tightened back up. Okay. I was worried it slipped or something, but it did tighten back up right here. So again, looks like there's a little defect right there, but I can barely feel anything. And I can feel that little sharp edge in the corner poking up. Looks like good adhesion. Well, it's sticking good. Maybe too good. So again, same thing happened on the PETG, where this layer just hadn't really adhered very well to the rest of the print. So, more testing to follow. Thanks for watching.